Xi'an China is famous for its 3,000-year-old history, but not so much for the craft beer scene until now. Thanks to a collaboration opportunity with Xiaohongshu, we're going to be checking out 7 of the most popular spots for craft beer along the South City Wall, working our way east to west. I will then be ranking each location according to beer selection, prices, and overall ambiance with a maximum possible score of 30 points per venue. And definitely stay until the end of the video, where I'll be taking you to a secret little brewery in the central part of Xi'an that quickly became my favorite hangout in Xi'an. Let's get into it. And first up on our tour is PG Coffee and Craft. And as the name suggests, this place is somewhat of a hybrid. By day, it's a coffee shop, and by night, it transforms into a craft beer bar. Their selection was actually pretty solid, with about 11 beers on tap.
我自己酿造啤酒，我很喜欢 IPA。真的吗？还不错，中国人很少喝。对，3杯或者。就3杯 ，You have a triple. You have a triple IPA.
度数越高，不会那么苦。
哦，这有点甜的，有点苦。It sounds amazing.
I tried their triple IPA, which was surprisingly delicious even if they don't brew the beer themselves. So overall for the beer, it gets a 7 out of 10. Definitely solid beer list with some unique finds. And as you can see, the ambiance is quite plain. Clean, minimalist, almost sterile, with just one TV in the back and no guests other than ourselves. For these reasons, it gets a 4 out of 10. PG has the beers, just not quite the right vibe. And the pricing in this venue didn't help my perception of it at all. All of the beers were offered in the baby 330 milliliter glasses, but adjusted to pint size, the beers run about 10 to 12 USD, which feels pretty expensive compared to almost anywhere in the USA. For those reasons, pricing also gets a 4 out of 10. That gives PG Coffee and Craft a total score of 15 out of 30, a solid start to the tour, but let's see how the next spot stacks up. We're now making our way west to the next stop, walking along the south part of the Xi'an ancient wall. Many sights and attractions can be found along the enormous 8.5-mile, 700-year-old wall which completely surrounds the old city, and I go into greater depth with my city wall biking tour video that you can check out above. Next up, we have Peace Brewing. And honestly, I didn't expect to find something like this in Xi'an, a massive, legit brewery and restaurant that would rival some of the best in the United States. I had the amazing privilege of chatting with the head brewer here, and he blew me away with his knowledge and experience. And it turns out he actually modeled some of his beers after the very famous Treehouse Brewing in Maine.
那你的意思是你买了喝了以后，然后模仿他们的味道，
叫
就是
学习。
哦，学习，对，差不多，对对对，也差不多我的意思，对。
Not copy.
That is what all good brewers do and have done for centuries. The beer list here is incredible, about 27 different options covering almost every style you could imagine. Honestly, they're some of the best examples of craft beer that I've had in China, and certainly on par with anything in the United States. So for those reasons, their beer selection gets a 9 out of 10. And the vibe is exactly what you'd expect from a serious craft brewery with a big, open warehouse vibe. And this place is so respected that it just had hosted the China World Beer Cup, and I was able to share a drink and chat with some of the top brewers in China that participated. Our shared love of brewing was immediately apparent, and some of these champions had actually even traveled to California to visit Russian River Brewing, a place that I know very well. The environment of this place blew me away, and for those reasons, it gets a solid 9 out of 10. Pricing was also outstanding, and a great selection of pints could be had for around 5 to 10 USD, so for those reasons, I'm giving pricing a 8 out of 10. And that brings the total score for Peace Brewing to a 26 out of 30, one of the best in the city and a must-visit for any craft beer fan. Let's see if the next stop can keep up with that standard.
Okay, we made it to the third brewery stop, and it's a very small, quaint little place alongside the south wall here.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. 啊，还不错。你的英文怎么样？
我英文不行。
自己酿造啤酒吗？
我们不酿造，我们是刻啤。
哦，就是买了，另外的然后卖。
国内的、国外的都有。
哦啊，你最喜欢的什么种类吗？
我喜欢 IPA。
哦，我也是。我是哥们儿。Yes, of course, of course, of course. 我想尝一尝你们的 IPA。OK， 好。
After chatting it up with the boss, we headed into stop 3, Dagu Craft Beer, a small but super cool spot that honestly felt like it was a miniature version of some breweries in the United States, with friends playing on the TV, 80s band stickers on the taps, and even some cheeky English profanities on the wall. And unfortunately, they don't brew on site here, but the owner's got a sharp eye for quality, carefully curating around 15 beers from both China and abroad. Every pour felt very intentional, and the quality of each beer I tried was very, very solid, though the ladies didn't always like the bitter.
但是这个对于我来说就有一点点苦。
它的生活苦吗？
They said that this beer is bitter, but no. Our Chinese like more bitter than this beer.
And for those reasons, I'll give the beer selection a solid 8 out of 10. If it's not evident, the vibe here is great, and it clearly attracts a true beer-loving crowd. Inside, it can feel a little bit cramped, with seating for maybe 10 people, but there's also a nice outdoor patio that balances it out. For those reasons, the ambiance gets an 8 out of 10. Pricing, unfortunately, is a bit more like PG coffee and craft, ranging between $7 to $11 per pint. It's not insane, but it's not great. I'll give pricing a 6 out of 10. So that's Dagu Craft Beer, a small, laid-back place and packed with personality. With a total score of 22 out of 30, it's the kind of place you come to hang out with friends who really love beer. But for our next stop, we're switching gears and checking out a place with a completely different vibe. Our fourth stop was in the middle of a bustling area for nightlife, and it's aptly called Fever Ales and Coffee. It's very narrow, relatively small, brightly lit, tiled in white, and appears to be a very trendy, bustling spot, especially popular with the younger crowds. In fact, when I was there, I ran into another Xiaohongshu influencer who was checking out the spot, and after squeezing down the aisle, we were able to touch base, practice some Mandarin, and talk about the pros and cons of the establishment. And in terms of the beer, here is where things got interesting. Fever Ales actually brews its own unique beers and has more than 15 options, ranging from classic IPAs to some unusual flavors like smoked beer, pepper-infused beer, and even some with cinnamon. It's evident that their beer demanded respect, but the one I had was enough to make me want to visit again to try the others. So I'm giving the beer selection an 8 out of 10. Inside though, the vibe didn't quite click for me personally. It's again more like PG coffee, and I found it very hard to walk, to get up, or to sit down. And with no outside seating, it just didn't seem like a fun, comfortable place that I wanted to spend lots of time in. For these reasons, ambiance gets a 4 out of 10. Pricing was a bit of a mixed bag, but overall pretty good. A few of their specialty beers were super expensive, at around $15 per pint, but many of their pints fell between the $5 and $8 range, which is comparable to the US and pretty good for Xi'an. So for those reasons, I'm giving pricing a 7 out of 10. In conclusion, that is Fever Ales and Coffee, and it gets a total score of 19 out of 30. If you're after inventive, quality craft beer and don't mind the crowds or limited seating, this place is certainly worth a stop. But after a quick visit, every one of us were tired of the noise and eager to get on to the next stop in the beer tour. And right now we're making our way through the very busy Nanmen market, and it's absolutely wild in the morning as well as the evening, and this place is a legendary spot in Xi'an for all kinds of food, and is definitely worth its own video, which will be coming soon. So be sure and subscribe above and check out the Xi'an playlist so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Our fifth stop is DDS Tap Room, and a spot that immediately gave me San Diego vibes. Outside you'll find a few small tables and director-style chairs, with a big garage door window that opens up to the street. Inside it's clean and modern, with the focus clearly on a brewery atmosphere and the beer. With about 16 beers on draft, we're talking jasmine tea grape wit, kiwi beer, a sugar-free IPA, cucumber kolsch, plenty of sours, and even a kombucha on tap. But unfortunately, all the beers I tried seemed a bit off. So for that, I'm gonna give them a 7 out of 10. The ambiance was also quite strong. It feels kind of like a baby version of a full-scale brewery. The space is small, so it can get cramped, but they're seating inside and outside. That earns the ambiance a 7 out of 10. And the pricing here is actually pretty decent as well. All the pours were the same size at 330 milliliters, and that averaged out to be about $6 to $9 per pint, which is definitely good for Xi'an as well as the United States. For those reasons, pricing also gets a 7 out of 10. Altogether, DDS Tap Room scores a robust 21 out of 30, but we still had one more place to check out on our tour. And you might notice that I have a beer in my hand in public. And if you find that shocking, you're definitely going to want to check out the video above, where I examined 7 surprising and awesome freedoms that you have in China that you don't have in the United States. Okay, so we made it to the 6th and final spot, but we have to go to the 4th floor, I think. So after a ride up an ominous elevator and crossing a quiet, almost desolate courtyard, we finally arrived at this tucked away rooftop spot, Huanggang Craft Brew Pub. And right away, the vibe felt different, more secluded, more intentional, like a place you'd only know if someone told you about it. And when it comes to the beer, they don't brew on site, but the owner is no joke and is clearly a beer savant.
最苦最好的。
那我给你上个3倍，好吧？
哦，你有一个3倍吗？
可以上一个3倍的，
特别好的。
With over 20 beers from around the world, they pride themselves in having one of the best selections in Xi'an, and with some great IPAs. So for beer selection, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. In terms of the ambiance, you can see it's one of the more unique places we've been to. And although the inside has more of a chill lounge feel with dim lighting, there's also video games on the screen and lively conversation that promoted a relaxed and welcoming atmosphere. The rooftop terrace with outdoor movie theater and barbecue really elevated the space. For those reasons, it gets another 8 out of 10. And as for prices, they also had a pretty good range. You could grab a few pints for as little as $5, with some of the imports going above $16. So for pricing, that balance makes it a 7 out of 10. Overall, this spot scores solidly with 23 out of 30, and I certainly recommend visiting when in Xi'an. And that actually wraps up the 6 spots for the Xiaohongshu Beer Tour. And the final rankings are as follows. Coming in at 7 is PG Coffee and Bar. Number 6, Fever Ales and Coffee. Number 5, DDS Tap Room. Number 4, Dagu Craft Beer. Number 3, Hanguang Craft Beer. Number 2, Peace Brewery. And for number 1, we're heading into central Xi'an, about a 5-minute walk from the bell tower. And I personally stumbled upon this spot one day when walking around with my friend Sarah. And the moment I met Jack, the brewer and owner, it instantly became my favorite spot in the city, but not just for the beer.
这是你的商店吗？
对对对
没有了
啊，
没有了，真的吗？
对对对，是我
那你对啤酒感兴趣，非常感兴趣。
是
哦。
So we made it to number 1, and I have named it the Hidden Grove Brewery, which is a rough translation of the name that's actually hard to translate. And starting with the ambiance, Jack basically has a kiosk and shares the common area with all kinds of other businesses, including local vendors selling Muslim barbecue lamb skewers and all kinds of other Xi'anese-based gifts, including calligraphy. The decorations here are insane and they're always changing. Every night has local live music.
Oh, thank you.
The foot traffic here is always high, ensuring new friends are always made. Simply put, the vibe here is unbeatable, and for that, it gets a 10 out of 10. In terms of beer, this location here is just getting started, currently serving about 5 beers on tap, IPA, Hefeweizen, lagers, and a few fruit-style beers. The quality of each is definitely excellent, and Jack is always happy to let you try any of them to make sure you found one that works for you. For now, to be fair, I'll give the beer selection a solid 7 out of 10, with plenty of room to grow as he offers more beers on tap. And guys, I'm saving the best for last. Pricing is simply phenomenal.
你的 IPA 这么便宜的，怎么可能啊？所有地方是3倍。
And you can see that Jack offers his pints for roughly 10, 12, 15 RMB per pint, which is roughly 75% cheaper than the competitor's cheapest pints. For this reason, pricing also gets a perfect 10 out of 10. And overall, that brings us the highest score for today of 27 out of 30. It's the perfect spot to chill and soak up the city's dynamic culture. So when you go, tell Jack that Ryan sent you, and be sure to have a drink of Baijiu with him for me. If you got some value from today's video, drop a comment about your favorite spot we went to today, and smash subscribe to join our growing Chinese Connection YouTube community. And if you love checking out Xi'an's craft brew scene, you should definitely watch the video on the left. It's a full tour of the Xi'an city wall and all the must-see spots around it. And if you're still on the fence about visiting Xi'an, the video on my right breaks down 10 powerful reasons why Xi'an should be at the top of your China travel list. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.